you could feel like you've reached the end of the tether. But through it all, you just have to keep hope alive and know that at the end of the day, the sun always rises. It doesn't matter what you could be going through, be it disease, terminal, be it financial hardship, be it divorce, be it separation, be it rejection, be it depression. I just want to tell you, if you hold it there, you'll come out through it stronger and better as a person.
Imagine spending 18 years behind bars, being isolated and separated from your children, and the worst part, grieving your dead wife. This happens to be our guest today, who through it all has remained positive and has even found a cause to fight for. If you haven't already, it's time for you to meet Pete. Pete, thank you so much for being agreeable to having this conversation with us.
Thank you.
I think what you're doing and your story needs to be heard by those who haven't heard it. But before we go to the beginning, where are we now and what happens here?
This is the resource center for the organization that I formed when I was on death row 11 years ago. And what we do here is just to empower the youth, the Nairobi youth. There's so many promising youth who have, they need opportunities. So we provide them with library services, we provide them with IT training, and right now we are setting up the resource center for vocational training as well. So it's a resource center where the youth can just come and do their thing, discover their lives, and make a living.
I'm seeing all these books. We're trying to encourage a reading culture. How is the response from the youth?
The response is very positive because the lady who donated it to us, she wanted us to bring back the reading culture. Many boys and girls have gotten lost in their phones and stuff like that. Yeah. So what happens is that she said, why don't we try and use books to get the youth of crime or those who are at risk of going to crime to just do something different. Yeah. And so she gave us a donation of 3,000 books.
3,000?
3,000
from one person?
Books, exactly. She collected from her friends.
Yeah.
She collected from her friends and she gave us 3,000. In fact, we've given half already to our partner, Shofco. Shofco is in Kibra, so we decided, because they already have libraries there, we decided to give most of the books to them. We're still receiving more books, by the way. We've gotten books from other well-wishers, Irungu of Amnesty International. He also gave a donation from his family, and we're getting more donations.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Well done. And the youth are enjoying the reading, it's changing their habits and how they think.
I mean, I believe in the youth, and because I find them so resourceful. They have so much energy. It's only that maybe it could be channeled to a different, not so productive end at some points. Yeah. But when you give them the opportunity, the Generation X and the Millennials, they're just the Generation X, Generation Y, and the Millennials. They have so much they're doing, and they want results. So basically, if you look at my staffing level here, 90. I'm the only oldie here. Everyone here is like under 25. Well done. Majority, of course, we have a bias towards gender. Majority of the staff now are ladies. Oh. Yeah, and they're doing a great job. Okay. Initially, we were majority men, and then my son put me down and asked me, Dad, why are you not gender friendly? So he pushed me to to get more ladies, and now incidentally we have more ladies in the team. Majority of the guys were out there in the field, and they're doing a great job. The ones we are training right now, I mean, I'll just come to the programs you're doing right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask, in terms of work experience, what are you offering and what training are you doing?
Okay, we are offering IT, basic IT, and now our partner organization is taking them up to the next level for coding and computer programming and all that. Yeah, exactly. Nice. Just goodwill and grace, and then we have.
And all this is free, by the way, guys.
Yeah, all this is
have
free.
To mention
all
that.
This is free. I mean, we don't charge. In fact, we just fear being overwhelmed. But by God's grace, I mean, we didn't know we would come this far. We started in a small room, just like as small as the cell I used to have on the other side. But this was even smaller than the cell I had on the other side. And so when this lady came on board and offered to give us the books, and I told her, look here, we don't have enough space for books. I said, I think I can get you a bigger space. So she told us to scout around, and then we got this space. So we have the entire floor, where we also now doing legal training.
Really?
Legal awareness. We have a lawyer who's just volunteered to come, a lady again.
Look at that.
We are partnering with Strathmore University, and we're training 40 youth from Kibra, both girls and boys, in basic legal rights, basic law of business, human rights, gender-based violence, all the normal laws that a kawaida person should know in Kenya.
I believe what I'm learning from this journey of this particular show is indeed pain can give birth to your purpose. And as you speak, I can see that with what you've built and what you continue to building. So if we could go back to the beginning, very beginning, 20 years ago, you were wrongly convicted. Could you tell us what happened and how was that time for you? What emotions were running through your head as it happened?
It wasn't an easy moment because my late wife was found killed outside a police station. One of the best and most guarded places. And then, yeah, so when I got word about that, I went to the police station to be told what had happened.
So you were nowhere close when it happened?
Far places. I was at home asleep. Wow. And yeah, so we go there in the morning and then we got the information. We go there in the morning and then, could you want to know how it happened? I mean, because it's a well-guarded place. And then someone, who I don't prefer not to mention here because we've made peace with them, says, lock this guy in. And that was the genesis. It's not the cops who said, lock this guy in. It's just a normal person. Yeah, but let's agree that back then the police force and the criminal justice system was not what it is today. And so they would act on whims of individuals and directions of normal people and do whatever they wanted to do.
What motive, though? That you've never figured out?
No, I mean, that's... It's hard, you know, when someone calls you a murderer, it's not an easy thing. And if it's people who are close to you, people you trusted, people you believed in, you first have to go into self-introspection and ask yourself, why would something like that happen? What is it in me that they saw that would make them say this, even though they know it's not true? And so I just decided at that moment, I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to forgive them at that very moment.
At that very moment? That very moment. Not over time?
No. That very moment. You call me that, I forgave you then, immediately.
Really?
Because I couldn't.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but I had no option. The other option I had was to get annoyed, was to get mad, and I could have lost it. I mean, I'd lost my wife. I don't know where my kids are, they're young kids, and then I'm on the verge of just losing my sanity because of being put behind bars for something I don't know. Yeah. And then after that, I was kept in the police station for 30 days. Nothing happening, nothing.
30 days? 30 days. In the police station?
Yeah, just hanging out.
Not being convicted in prison?
No, there was nothing. So why would you take me to court?
So there was no proof in any way that
there
you
was
were
no
guilty
even
of the crime?
Statement for 30 days. I had to write a letter of complaint, which was published in the media. What am I doing in a police station for 30 days?
Exactly.
You know, and then, of course, back then, the people were there said, oh, umetushtaki. So they rushed me to court, of course, without anything. I went to court. I was taken to industrial area police remand home for a week. Second week, still no statements, no nothing. So I was taken back to police station again so that they could give me the evidence they wanted to charge me with. So I ended up again for another 30 days.
Back and forth for a long period.
So basically I was in police custody for 60 days. When the law said I should be there maximum 14 days. But that's the system we had there. That's
during this period, your family, how are they reacting and responding to this? Your family, your friends?
I mean, you see the crazy thing is, or the good thing is, my friends or my late wife's friends, we didn't have like separate friends. And they knew me and they knew the truth. So they stuck with me. I never lost any friends. I've made more friends, in fact. Yeah. And all the friends we had as a family then, they've worked with me up to today. Up to today, not just through the prison session. And my family, of course, were distraught. My mom she took it real hard.
Of course.
You know, up to today, I don't think she's really recovered from that. But basically what she didn't recover from is the level of betrayal she went through by people she was close to. Yeah, she's coming around. She's an old lady, but she's coming around. She's a strong girl. Yeah, but then also my family, I think they took it real hard. They didn't expect anything like that. And then, you know, maybe that time you feel the community, the society is tagging you. Yeah, you know, there's this 6-foot guy who's been taken to prison, accused of killing his wife, and then, really? Is he innocent? You know, people would ask questions to my family members.
How did that make them feel? Did they doubt it anymore, or you wouldn't know?
I mean, they know me.
Good.
I'm an open book.
I see.
I'm an open book. My neighbors, I mean, the people we were with on that night, they came to court and said, we were with Pete.
You had an alibi?
Yeah, okay. Not 1, 3.
Oh, good.
And so they said, if Pete committed this offense, then we are the people who should be charged with him. Because we're with him all through. And you know, the strange thing is, when you talk about corruption in the judiciary, unfortunately, the judge who convicted me was among the first to be sacked for corruption. God rest his soul, he just passed on the other day. The second guy was in the system. I think out of the guys who did my case, only one is still in the judiciary.
But can you imagine 18 years being falsely accused of something? How was it being in that cell, Pete? Knowing you're not meant... Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Time stopped. But you see, the thing is, I always say, you could put walls around me, but you can't stop me from communicating with my God. So I always had my communication channels open, so I wasn't bothered by the things around me. I wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to be drawn down to that level. It's a pitiable level if people want to bring you down because of their own reasons. If it's something you've done, you'd go say, okay, I'm sorry I've done this, 1, 2, 3, But there's no way. I mean, even if you look at the letters, when you go to prison, you're told, write your apology, write your whatever, the petition of mercy and stuff. Then people say, oh, I'm sorry I did this. My petition reads up to today.
It does?
It reads, I didn't do it. I'm not going to apologize for something I haven't done. I'm very quick to apologize even to a 1-year-old kid if I do something wrong. But I'm not just going to do something to make anyone happy. But anyway, the good thing is that we're at peace with the people who took me the other side. When I went to prison in 1998, it was a torture chamber.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows it's not something we hide, and that's why we say the prisons department in Kenya has made a paradigm shift from torture, from punishment to rehabilitation, correction, and now empowerment.
We've come a long way.
We've come a long way. We've come a long way. Like right now, the numbers in committee are much lower. People are not sleeping 14 like we used to sleep, 14 per cell. And then also with the new ruling that came in court, most of the guys were in committee, for example, or the major prisons was having either life sentences, having been commuted from death sentences. And it's because of the mandatory nature of the death penalty, which was removed last year, 2017, by the Supreme Court. So now guys are going for resentencing and our prisons are getting emptier. They're coming home. And when they come home, they need acceptance. They need love. They need...
In fact, we'll come back in the second part and hear about life after prison. We'll still touch on a bit more on what happened in there, but stay tuned to hear more from Pete. Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned. Pete, what happened to you being falsely accused and convicted? Is this a very common occurrence that's happened over the years?
I mean, we had a broken down judicial system, and that's why the constitution had to be changed. Number 2, we had to do the vetting of judges, which has happened twice. Back then, it was bad. I mean, you read the reports that were done by the vetting committee, the Sharad Rao's and the Ringera reports, which will tell you that some judgments were not even written by the judges who read them in court. Judgments were written somewhere else, in some law firms or in some street somewhere. Then the guy would just bring it to the judge for signing. That is what we had. There was no justice. That's why we have so many people who don't deserve to be behind bars, wallowing there in pity. I mean, I left a guy there who had been sentenced to death for stealing a loaf of bread.
No way.
In Busia, and is still in committee as I'm speaking to you today, since 1995. I read such judgments and I'm like, okay, that is the law we had. 1 loaf of bread. Forget about the 25 billion we are making noise about. 1 loaf of bread, the guy has been in committee up to today, since 1996.
So
he went in before me.
Imagine. So one thing you did in there that is just mind-blowing is you decided to study law.
Yeah.
Take me through that. Is this the reason, seeing all this injustice happening, is that what, triggered you to do this, or is it justice for Jenny, your late wife?
No, I have to accept I was a bit selfish at a certain point. I'd started helping guys with their legal briefs even before I studied law.
Really?
Yeah, because I had so much time. Yeah, I had so much time on my hands, and basically in prison there are these law councils, if I may call them. So you'd just read one judgment after the other. You'd read so many law books and stuff, and then you'd learn how to put arguments together for people. And having gone to school in the former education system, so I mean, I loved reading, yeah. and so I started doing that, and then first I got trained as a paralegal by Kituo cha Sheria. Then later on by the National Legal Aid Program, we're doing some awareness sessions within our prisons. And then I remember going to the Judicial Service Commission in 2011, I think, to make a presentation on behalf of inmates on what kind of views they wanted to have in the new dispensation for the judiciary. So when I went there, that's when I met the former AG, Amos Wako, and he asked me, hey, are you a lawyer? I said, no, I'm not a lawyer.
But you handled yourself like what?
I think so, maybe. I mean, we read a judgment the other day that you can fake it till you make it. That if you act like you have a degree, then you can be. Anyway, I wasn't faking it. I was just doing an honest, God-given duty. And so I was assisting my colleagues then. And so with the appearing before that, and Amos Wako asking me, Senator Wako now, I told him no. And then he said, would you like to study law? I said, fine, if you pay for me, I'll study law.
And
so that was
the
genesis of it here. But the selfishness I'm talking about is that I wanted justice for Jenny.
Yeah,
we are still pursuing justice for Jenny as I'm talking to you today.
It's still ongoing.
I mean, we're still pursuing justice for Jenny because we need closure, and she needs to rest. You know, so she deserves it. She deserves it. I believe with the new team on board, it will all come to pass. Because all the truth that was hidden for so long has come out. You know, you can't hide the truth forever.
You can't. What happens in the dark always comes to light.
It always comes out. You know, it's just fortunate that His Excellency got me out. The President got me out. If it was those days when they'd signed the death warrant, then I could have been hanged for something I didn't do. I wouldn't want to go the way my friend Kiaria went. Kiaria was arrested for these Kiomeri land issues, where every time a new official was elected, people would be killed and stuff. And Kiaria was 16 or 17 when he was arrested, a young boy, arrested with 8 other people, charged with a crime he didn't commit. Most of them didn't commit, because we know the drama that went on at Kiomeri. I mean, even after, when they were in prison, people are still being killed at Kiomeri. So Kiaria felt his life had been wasted. He was a young boy, and he had his day in court. He was convicted for a murder he didn't commit. He came for his appeal at the Supreme Court building, the Kenya Court of Appeal building. Then it was dismissed. He was told he had to continue serving a death sentence. And he just despaired, and he took his belt and hung himself at the basement.
For you, your experience was not wasted. You took that time to go and study the law and see how you can make a difference in society and for your wife. And there are others who handle it differently. For Kiaria, he gave up. Depression is real. When something like that happens, that's when you tell me you forgave them instantly. That's a big step, Pete. To someone at home, you know, how do you get to that place where you put everything aside and focus on the bigger picture? That's huge.
Yeah, but you see, if you don't forgive, you give your enemy the power over you.
Easier said than done, but yes.
Yeah, you have no option. I mean, you just have to bite the bullet and say, this is where I am at. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I've been told to go to death row. I mean, the execution chamber is 5 meters from me. I mean, this is where all the other people from 97 going back used to go and never come back. So it was real to me. This is where people have actually been hanged. And what did it solve? If you found out later that these guys actually didn't deserve that. That's why I'm really an abolitionist. I just came from a conference on the World Congress Against Death Penalty.
I see.
You know, I don't believe anyone deserves to die. If someone made a mistake, I'll tell you one thing, death is final.
It is.
So if someone made a mistake, they don't have a chance to reform. And then secondly, if you keep me in prison for life, it's more painful than killing me.
Of course.
Because you've killed me, I'm gone, I'm done.
Of course. You
know, sometimes I remember when we were on death row, people would say, why don't you guys want to just kill us instead of keeping us here indefinitely, and you know, we don't know what's happening. And then the prison officers would be like, no, our duty is not to kill you. Our duty is to reform you. Unless we get that particular warrant for that particular person, we are not here to kill you. And you know, in Kenya since 1987, we've had this moratorium. We're just hoping that soon we'll get rid of this. Why am I saying that? Look at the ICC statute where Kenya is a signatory. Yeah. If you're committed of genocide, if you kill 1 million Kenyans today, God forbid, and you're taken to the ICC, do you know the maximum sentence you'll be given? Life imprisonment. You'll not be hanged.
I see.
And yet the Kenyan system, who's in committee, who's in these prisons, phone snatchers. Because when mugging became too much in Nairobi, we said these guys don't deserve to be in our streets. Yeah. So we graduated it. The definition of robbery with violence in Kenya is so strict, and that was what was left by the British guys. When they left, the penal code has not been changed since then. It says if me and Grace go and take Mercy's phone, just because we are 2 of us, we are guilty of the offense of robbery with violence. We've not occasioned any harm on Mercy. We've just taken her phone, but because we are 2, we are guilty. If Grace comes to Peter, or if Peter goes to Grace and he has a knife and threatens Grace with a knife, and Grace gives the phone, he doesn't harm Grace. He'll still go to death row.
But he's robbed me, but he shouldn't go to death row is what you're saying.
I mean, what happens is, if you go to the British law now, even American law, they've graduated it. So if there's aggravated...
There are levels
to... exactly. So if I just take your phone because I showed you a knife, and I didn't do anything with that knife,
your penalty should be different from
the one. It should be different from someone who actually harmed you, gave you that injury, even scratched you, or killed you. Okay. But now it's the same. Whether I kill you and take your phone, or I just take your phone and threaten you, even with a fake pistol, I go to death row.
So we still have
So those are the majority. Those are the majority of guys. I mean, we can just redefine it and give degree, first degree, second degree, third degree. So those people fall within the different. And then the crazy thing is, back then the judges would say their hands were tied. So the moment they find you guilty, you have to go to death row. But right now, with the Muruatetu judgment that was read at the Supreme Court, where the death penalty is not mandatory, judges now have a discretion.
Okay. We take a short break. We'll be right back, and Pete tells us more about what he's doing now with his life. Welcome back. I'm here with Peter Ouko, who you exude so much positivity, even through, for me, I'd imagine, is one of the hardest things anyone can ever go through. When you're in that cell, Pete, what is, if you can, your most painful memory being in there?
There are a couple of sad moments. I think the most sad moment is being in a cell in Naivasha and losing our friend Ayub.
Losing a friend? Yeah, who was there with you? Or?
Yeah, Ayub was there. I mean, in prison, all of us are friends and brothers. I'll tell you one thing. If you want to know where people love each other genuinely and look out for each other, forget about the jokes we have out here. Prison is where people really, that's where you are your real brother's keeper. Because it's not a family, that's the only family you have.
All you have.
That's all you have. So you have to make the best of friends, and everyone is a brother, everyone is a friend, and you look out for each other. So Ayub, I think he was sick, and then Ayub used to write for us appeals. He was also, he was just a self-trained prison lawyer. And and back then, Ayub would just wake up in the morning at 5, and after prayers, just start drafting appeals. And this day, he woke up, sat on his back, and was drafting appeals, and he just went peacefully.
Really?
Yeah. So in fact, people thought he was still writing his appeal. Yeah, and Ayub was gone. I remember the second time is when we lost 9 people to cholera when we were in committee. And just one person, I think, had come with cholera from another prison. Committee, we didn't have cholera at that time. Somehow the bacteria spread, and then that's an awareness I got, a wake-up moment. Like, if I heard about cholera, I wouldn't take it for granted. Because you're very healthy one moment, then this guy falls sick, you carry this guy to the sick bay. You know, you want to assist him, so you carry him to the sick bay. Then you catch it. So some guys would go, by the time they're coming back, they're also being taken back. It was sad. Those are low moments when you just realize how frail life is, but it also awakens you that every second counts. You should use every second positively. You know, when we go behind bars, we accept we are there. So we adapt to that. But some of these things we are going through out here, the silent battles, people don't get out of them. That's why we have suicide rates going up.
Especially for men.
Exactly, for men.
Men don't expose it or talk about it.
Yeah, men, sometimes we want to keep it on the down low, but sometimes we also feel that the boy child has been neglected, so we are trying to play catch up, and, you know, we always have the stereotypes, you know. But the key thing is depression and mental health is real.
It is.
We are losing kids from affluent families to depression, and the affluent family members don't want to talk about it. I work with kids from across the board. I go to all schools in this city, and they share with me. They share with me, Pete, this is what we are going through. This is what this is what we are facing. And in street confidence, they say, this is how we can solve it. The good thing is that the youth have the answers to the issues facing them. I just like to encourage parents, you know, don't think about community prison. Think about the prison that kid in that 6-bedroom house is in right now. They don't see you. You've given them everything. You've given them all the pocket money they need. They have a driver to take them out.
So how do you see them as a parent? How do you spot that issue?
Exactly. You have to give them your time. They need you. They don't need your money.
That's true.
You know, the kids, one thing we don't learn as human beings, we are relational. And then we need to be with people.
That's true.
Yeah, we just like, okay, they're going to be molded by the house girls and the teachers couldn't discipline them. So the teachers also said, okay, fine, as long as we get our salary, parents must come back and play their roles. Crime Scene Poor is facing lots of issues because parents are not there. It's not about parents being together. It's about a dad and a mom being there. Or if they're not there, an auntie or an uncle being there. If they're not there, there's that trusted friend who can always carry these kids through. Let someone be there for them. The kids just need that relationship.
I agree. Intentional parenting is very, very important. And as you speak, Pete, speaking so much as wisdom, you know, for parents to take with them as they're raising their children. What I know about you is that you absolutely love children. I know you from church. I see you with them in Sunday school. You have a genuine love for children. So if you could take me through, how was it having to be separated from your children, who were about 4 and 5 when it happened? And how was it seeing them again now when you came out?
I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to go through that. And I wouldn't want anyone to be separated from their kids for whatever reason, because it's totally disruptive. And then you take time to help to build a relationship with an adult. You know, you leave a kid at 3, when you come back, they're 21, they're 20, they're adults, they're graduating from high school, from university, and then you're like... But I thank God, because we're always in communication. For the first 8 years, we were not in communication, but from when they went to Form 1 up to when they cleared, yeah, they would visit, we would talk. I remember my daughter telling me, "Dad, it doesn't matter where you are, you still remain my dad." And that was the most powerful statement I had. So I had to play my parental role. I had to be tough, you know, when I needed to be. But I mean, kids are precious.
Pete, for you, you're fortunate that 20 years ago you came out. There's some who are still in there, you know, waiting for the day they'll come out, or they may die in there, unfortunately. What led to your presidential pardon?
No, I just took a leap of faith. Just like I told you, my faith comes first. And I took a leap of faith and wrote to His Excellency the President. I remember that was in August of 2016. And I told him, I'm in prison, I'm on death row. I was on death row, I'm now serving life. And even though I don't agree with the decision of the courts, I respect it. I'm a respecter of law, so I respect it, but I don't agree with it. But the situation is this: my kids are going to graduate. I wasn't there for their class 8 graduation. I wasn't there for their Form 4 graduation. And as a parent, if I can't be there for the university graduation, then I don't think I'm worth being.
That's what you wrote?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I wrote. It was a very personal letter. I keep a copy of it always. And so I wrote that letter and gave it to the officer in charge. I told him, hey, I want this thing to go to the president. He said, no, it doesn't go like that. I told him, no, leap of faith. Forward it. So he forwarded it to his boss, who was, I remember that was Mr. Henry Kisengo. He forwarded it to his boss, was Madam Wanini at the provincial headquarters. They forwarded it to the commissioner. Commissioner forwarded it to the AG, you know, that bureaucracy. And then the AG now, who also happened to have been the chairman of the Power of Mercy Committee, gave it to his board. And then they did the due process. And then on 26th of October, 25th of October, yeah, the president signed my release.
What's the first thing you did when you left? What did you miss the most?
When I left prison, I remember as I was going to my sister's place, I made a call to a friend who's stuck with me. He was high up in the government, and he would visit me in the death row. You know, no one knew, but he would come to death row and we would hang out there and we'd just sit there, like true friends, you know. And those are guys who've mentored me up to today. They've walked with me, and so as I was coming home, going to my sister's place, I made a call. I called him and said, hey boss, how are you keeping? Just to say hi. But I didn't tell him that I was out.
You didn't?
Yeah, they said, hey, where's your son? I've tried to reach your son and I can't reach him. Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm going to meet him now. I'm going to call him. He said, what do you mean? I said, yeah, I'm going to meet him now. So you're out here? So yeah. So he told me, come to my place, somewhere in those leafy suburbs. I wouldn't mention now. So when I reached there, he told me, now you're out and this is your office. So I was given an office the very day I came home. And they told me, think about what you want to do, whichever business you want to do. Once you decide, let us know. We are going to support you, start your life afresh.
You're very fortunate. Look at the favor that has been in your life.
Yeah. And I believe that God's grace also goes to everyone else.
That's why you're very giving and positive and giving
back. I mean, I've been given freely, so freely
you give.
Freely I give. I don't think. I mean, even if you give me the whole world, I won't carry it away if I leave the world tomorrow. Yeah, there's more joy in giving than in receiving. So when you go out and just share, and sometimes you don't have the resources to give, but you have the heart to give. Right now, we've taken 4 kids to school, and some of them have been sponsored by my friends, some in the States, people I met in the States for the first time. Wonderful young Kenyans there who are just doing awesome work. Some are doctors, some are preachers, some are doing different stuff. I just told one of them, there's a kid who comes from Mathare, and we had taken the sister to a school. She was formerly incarcerated. She came out and she wanted to go back to school. So we got Faraja's Trust to pay the fees, and then we got the other funding from Global Fund for Children, who's our partner. And so going out, she says, we are only 2 in our family, and my kid sister's done class 8. So we got her to we got her to school. And my friends just say, we are going to donate. People have this heart to donate, but they want to donate for genuine causes. They want to see that what they're doing, because they're sacrificing, is impacting another life. That's what I love about Kenyans. And that's how we also end up being conned many times, because in as much as we're giving genuinely, some people take advantage of that. And I feel those who are doing that are not doing the right thing, because they're abusing the trust that Kenyans are bestowing upon them. For whatever penny you are given, you should account for it. You know, and if you've been given money to bless other people, do it.
As we wrap, there are those at home who may have a family member who's in there, and they don't know if they'll ever come out, if they'll ever see them again, if they'll ever have an opportunity to have life after prison for them. What would you tell them at home in terms of just to encourage them?
I mean, if you have a relative at home in prison, whoever there, visit them. Number one, visit them. Don't throw them there and throw away the keys and forget about them and think those guys will come out. You know, the book of God tells us with God nothing is impossible. And when you think that person is down and out and God is working something in him or in her and they come out, you're amazed at this new flower that's blossoming. Then you want to associate with yourself with that flower, and that's your relative who you decided to discard and say, maybe you are even the one who took them to prison in the first place. Yeah. If you've taken someone to prison wrongly, just go and seek amends and forgive each other. You know, we have cases where people are using the law to settle scores. You know, you break up with your boyfriend, then you tell your daughter to go cry and say your boyfriend raped your daughter. Those are cases I've handled there. But having said that, I have to accept that the biggest crime happening in Kenya today is sexual violence. The highest number of new inmates going to prison are not robbers.
Really?
Sexual violence. And those are the only reported cases. What of the ones that are not reported? I have a kid, 17-year-old kid who I met when I went to visit one of these mental health institutions. I just go visit sometime. And when I go there, I meet this 17-year-old girl who had been raped by her mom's boyfriend. And she told the mom that, look here, this is what your boyfriend has done to me. The mom, instead of taking this girl for counseling and helping her, the mom sided with the boyfriend. And the 17-year-old girl, Form 3 from a very nice school in Nairobi, totally lost it and had to be admitted. I mean, where are we headed? Where we don't even value our kids. Sexual perversion is real, number one. But sexual violence is even becoming more pronounced. Date rape, dragging girls and taking advantage of them. That's one of the things. Conscious Club, we are going to start a conscious club in all schools as crime support.
Because how can we change that?
We have to let people know what no means. And people don't even, awareness and education. We need that support. We need that outreach. We don't have the capacity, but we have people who are willing to do that. That's where we are starting programs, and our Access to Justice program, we are launching an electronic version of the law, where you can just get the basics on your phone, you know. So we are calling it Sheria Mkononi.
Okay. And this is your initiative as well?
This is our initiative. We are starting it under Crime Support. Because under Crime Support, we have the Crime Support, the outreach program, where we go to schools, community and stuff. We have the Access to Justice, where we do legal awareness, legal education. So people know their rights and also obligations.
So what I'm taking from you is we must take that initiative.
We must take the initiative. Let's get
onus is on us.
Exactly. We get out of our comfort zones and start saying it's that person's work, it's that person's work. And one other thing also I'd like to encourage you guys in the media. If Pete is going to talk crap, don't post it there. Don't even give him that airtime. Well said. Because when you stoke a fire, you continue pouring, it will sell. Your newspaper will sell fine, or your magazine or whatever it is will sell. But the injury you're causing to the community, when that fire starts, the ripple effect, it will burn you as well. So we have to learn how to switch off the microphone.
Be responsible.
Be responsible.
With the platform we're given.
Exactly. And the same thing as well, I mean, even my fellow church people, I don't ascribe to the view that we should give people the pulpit to insult other people.
Of course.
We are misusing the pulpit, and that's why this country is just hovering like people are moving directionless. Let's leave the pulpit for the word of God.
There's clearly so much that Peter and I can go on for a whole day, if we could. But I must ask one last question, if we could say it briefly. I believe stories like yours, or going through turmoil or very hard situations, gives us the impetus to realize, I've been given a second chance, I have a reason to live, and I have a purpose. To someone at home who may be going through a very difficult time, what can you tell them in terms of this may just be the beginning of what you're meant to do in this world?
I mean, I just encourage them to take everything that comes their way positively. However negative it is, I'll still go back to the good word that says everything works for good of those who love the Lord. So it could be a bad thing happening. Like what happened to me was the worst you'd ever imagine. You're not only losing your wife, but also being charged for the first, being taken to death row, being separated from that. People are going through those different phases. But just know that there's a higher being who can help you come through all that. But stay positive. Don't bring negativity into your life. Say that it's all lost and start seeking, now I want to get lost in alcoholism because I can't handle it on my own. I want to do something, this. I want to corrupt the system because I feel broken down and everyone is doing it. Stick to your lane. Stick to what you believe is right. Whatever you're going through will come to pass. It will come to pass. I mean, after 18 years, I walked out of committee and I said, hey, God, I remember one thing that I haven't shared with you guys is that I hadn't seen the sunset for 18 years. And this day I'm walking home and I see the sunset and I just stopped on the road. And I was like, what's that happening? 18 years you haven't seen that. And yet here we take it for granted, like, hey, the sun rises and the sun sets. For some people, it's never set. For some people, it's never risen. Let's remember those people who are in those dark places. Not only in prison, but there are so many dark places. Depression is real in this country. I'm telling you, mental health is becoming a major issue.
And you never went through that in there? Do you feel like you did?
No, not today. Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Peter, you are something else. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Like I said, you exude so much positivity. We are grateful. And we wish you all the very best. And especially as you get justice for Jenny.
Thank you for having me. And I'll just like all Kenyans to say, crime see power. Crime is not cool.
Crime see power. I will definitely share the details if you want to engage and know more about it. We'll share the details with you. But I hope you've been encouraged in one way or another that whatever happens in your situation in life, stay positive. You'll definitely be in a much better position than if you're negative about it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Unscripted. Find the handles right below and we'll see you next week. Have a good night.